and backed.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Craig Melvin.
Well, we've got some breaking news at the White House right now. President Biden talking about the historic collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. Let's listen in.
And their hardworking employees can breathe easier as well. Last week, when we learned of the problems of the banks and the impact they could have on jobs of small businesses and banking system overall, I instructed my team to act quickly to protect these interests. They've done that. On Friday, the government regulator in charge, the FDIC, took control of Silicon Valley Bank's assets. And over the weekend, it took control of Signature Bank's assets. Treasury Secretary Yellen and a team of banking regulators have taken action, immediate action. And here are the highlights. First, all customers who had deposits in these banks can rest assured they'll be protected and they'll have access to their money as of today. That includes small businesses across the country that bank there and need to make payroll, pay their bills, and stay open for business. No losses will be, and this is an important point, no losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Let me repeat that. No losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Instead, the money will come from the fees that banks pay into the deposit insurance fund. Because of the actions that our regulators have already taken, every American should feel confident that their deposits will be there if and when they need them. Second, the management of these banks will be fired. If the bank is taken over by FDIC, the people running the bank should not work there anymore. Third, investors in the banks will not be protected. They knowingly took a risk, and when the risk didn't pay off, investors lose their money. That's how capitalism works. And fourth, there are important questions of how these banks got into the circumstance in the first place. We must get the full accounting of what happened and why those responsible can be held accountable. In my administration, no one is above the law. And finally, we must reduce the risk of this happening again. During the Obama-Biden administration, we put in place tough requirements on banks like Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, including the Dodd-Frank law to make sure that the crisis we saw in 2008 would not happen again. Unfortunately, the last administration rolled back some of these requirements. I'm going to ask Congress and the banking regulators to strengthen the rules for banks to make it less likely this kind of bank failure would happen again, and to protect American jobs and small businesses. Look, the bottom line is this. Americans can rest assured that our banking system is safe. Your deposits are safe. Let me also assure you, we will not stop at this. We'll do whatever is needed. On top of all of it, let's also take a look at a moment to put the situation in a broader context. We've made strong economic progress in the past 2 years. We've created more than 12 million new jobs. More jobs in 2 years than any president has ever created in a single 4-year term. Unemployment is below 4% for 14 straight months. Take-home pay for workers is going up, especially for lower and middle-income workers. And we've seen record numbers of people apply to start new businesses, more than 10 million of them. More than 10 million applications over the last 2 years starting businesses. Now we need to keep this progress going. That's what swift action that my administration over the past few years is all about. Protecting depositors, protecting the banking system, protecting the economic gains we've made together for the American people. Thank you, and God bless you, and may God protect our troops. See you in California.
Mr. President, what do you know right now about why this happened? And can you assure Americans that there won't be a ripple effect?
Do you expect other banks to fail, Mr. President? Should all depositors be protected at all banks?
All right, there you have it. President Biden speaking for almost 5 minutes there about the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank specifically, one of the 20 largest banks in the United States of America, of course, collapsing late last week. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell joins us from the White House now. And Kelly, it sounded like the president was basically trying to make sure that Americans still have confidence in our banking system.
Confidence is the key word, and certainly this president lived through what was happening in 2008, where there were enormous ripple effects from the financial crisis of that time that led to recession, wanting to send a different message now, saying that action has been swift, work done over the weekend with the top economic minds of this administration and regulators, and key steps to try to allow for depositors to get access to their money and to shore up these the confidence of these banks so it doesn't spread beyond that. So these are important steps. They say taxpayers will not be affected, and they're trying to make certain that this does not go beyond these two institutions that have had trouble in recent days. Craig?
All right, Kelly O there at the White House, NBC business reporter Brian Chung with me here now. Brian, the president just said he also wants to reduce the risk of something like this happening again. How do we do that?
Yeah, well, one concern is that it's not just Silicon Valley Bank. When they made the announcement of how to protect these depositors, they also announced that Signature Bank out of New York, which is about half the size of Silicon Valley, was also going to be taken over. We're seeing pressures at another bank as well. So they're worried about the contagion here. But what the federal government is trying to do is create that insurance net, essentially by insuring the deposits even beyond what was promised of that $250,000 for those that were at Silicon Valley and also at Signature. We'll have to see if these measures can stop any sort of contagion from here.
Yes, we will. Markets set to open here about 23 minutes from now. We'll have much more throughout the day on MSNBC, CNBC, and streaming on NBC News Now as well. And, of course, Lester Holt will have a full recap of the day on Nightly News tonight. I'm Craig Melvin here in New York, and this has been an NBC News Special Report.